Welcome to the channel Buzz, where we connect the dots across marketing, partnerships, and the ERP ecosystem. I am your host, Amiee Keenan, and in each episode, we'll explore the strategies and stories, tips, tactics, trends that drive success in the channel. Welcome aboard. If you've been in the ERP ecosystem for any length of time, you've probably felt it. Things feel different. Deals take longer. Marketing feels harder. And visibility doesn't quite convert the way it used to. And the temptation to assume it's wrong with marketing, with the channel, or even your strategy. But today, I want to talk about why it isn't a failure moment. It's an evolution moment. So welcome to the Channel Buzz podcast, where we connect the dots across marketing, partnerships, and the ERP ecosystem. I'm Amiee Keenan. Today, I want to unpack what the 2026 ERP channel shift actually means for ISVs based on what I'm seeing across ecosystems, partners, and buying behavior. So let's talk about how the ERP channel has evolved. When people say the ERP channel feels harder right now, I don't think anything's wrong with it. I think the channel has actually evolved. Buyers are more informed. Partners are more selective. And ecosystems are crowded than they ever used to be. So what worked years ago doesn't produce the same results today. And not because it's failed or something's wrong with it, but because the environment has changed. So let's think about an example from then versus now. 10 years ago, showing up at a conference, having a booth, sponsoring a session, running a single webinar could generate meaningful momentum. But today, the same effort often creates activity, but not so much recognition. Not because it's bad marketing, but because buyers are exposed to far more solutions than they used to be. Once you understand that shift, marketing stops feeling random and starts feeling directional again. Next up, buyers behave differently than they used to, right? One of the biggest changes I see is where buyers start their journey. They don't start with vendors. They start with peers, communities, LinkedIn conversation, webinars they trust, platforms they already follow, their partners that recommend solutions. And by the time they talk to you, they're often halfway through that decision process based on all of the things I mentioned above, and doing their own research, and maybe even going on your website and watching a demo video. So an example would be that I've been seeing you everywhere moment. I've heard this over and over from ISVs. We finally got the meeting and the prospect said, I feel like I've been seeing you everywhere. That moment didn't come from one campaign. It came from a shared webinar, a demo day, a partner mention, a LinkedIn post, a second or third or fourth or fifth or sixth exposure to something in the ecosystem. That's recognition, and recognition is what converts. Number 3, partnership dynamics have shifted. Partners are always navigating more noise. They're being approached by more ISVs daily. They're being asked to co-sell more solutions, and they're protecting their credibility more carefully, which I don't blame them, so would I. That means partners don't want new, they want known. So an example of why partners prefer familiar ISVs: if a partner has seen an ISV consistently educating the market, participating in shared initiatives, showing up, and is aligned with the ecosystem, that ISV feels safer to recommend. Not because they're the biggest, not because they're familiar, but because they're familiar. This is where marketing and partnerships stop being separate functions. So, number 4, why visibility doesn't always equal opportunity anymore. Visibility alone doesn't create opportunity. Visibility without context fades. Visibility without repetition disappears. Visibility without trust doesn't move deals forward. An example would be that one-off campaign trap. I see ISVs invest heavily in one big event, one high-cost sponsorship, one major campaign, and then they're disappointed when it doesn't translate into pipeline. The issue isn't the campaign, it's the assumption that one moment should do all of the work. In this space, opportunity is created through cumulative exposure, not spikes. So what this shift means for ISVs in 2026, it means you can't rely on one big moment. You can't separate marketing from partnerships. You can't expect immediate conversion from visibility. Instead, growth comes from showing up repeatedly in the same ecosystem, aligning with partners, buyers who already trust teaching before selling, creating recognition before demand appears. An example would be shared visibility and action when ISVs participate in a reoccurring demo day, an ongoing educational series, consistent partner initiatives, partner choice awards. Something changes. Something people say now are, who are they? Instead, they're saying, oh yeah, I know them. And that's what we all want. We want to be able to be recognized. So, how to think differently going into 2026? As you plan for 2020, the better questions aren't how do we get more reach? How do we get to do bigger campaigns? The better questions are where do we want to be recognized? Who do we want to be associated with? How often are we showing up in the same ecosystem? The ISVs who aren't chasing attention, they're building familiarity. The ISVs who win aren't chasing attention, they're building familiarity. So I hope this big takeaway for you is there's one thing, and then if there's one thing I want you to take away from this episode is this. The ERP channel hasn't stalled, it's evolved. And once you align with how trust, recognition, and visibility actually work now, growth becomes much clearer. That's what we'll keep unpacking here on the Channel Buzz podcast. So thank you so much for tuning in. This was episode 3. Have you checked out episode 1 or 2 yet? Would love to get your feedback. Would love for you to share with others. Would love for you to comment and grow this podcast so we can get it in front of more people. So thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great week.